Have a cigar. Trust the profits, the formula here. It is late November, and what could we be talking about? That's right. We're talking about the Cigar Mile. We are giving you a preview about a week ahead of the Cigar Mile. It will be run on December 3rd, 2022 at Aqueduct. It is a G1 8 furlongs. That means it's a mile. You see here on the left, the possibles and probables. We got about 7 horses to talk through, so let's jump into it. But before we do, just a note, we don't know who the jockeys are in this race, whether these horses will be running. So this is all based off of what we're seeing on Horse Racing Nation and historical jockeys that have run with these horses in the past. So let's just jump into it. Zandon, that's right. This one's going to be the chalk eater. I think it is pretty obvious from the list here that Zandon will be the favorite. He was a heavy favorite at the Kentucky Derby, but he's been a bridesmaid pretty much his whole career. Um, Second at the Penn Derby behind Taba, third at the Travers behind Epicenter and Cyberknife, second at the Jim Nantty behind Epicenter, third to Epicenter and Rich Strike at the Derby himself. So not a lot of wins that we've seen from Zandon. His last win was the Bluegrass Stakes. This seems to set up really well for him, though. 7 horses, not a lot of dominance here. Zandon, in my opinion, is the favorite and the eventual winner. Who else is here? White Barrio. White Barrio is an interesting one. This is one that the profits were heavy on early on in the Derby. Just a lot of fun to watch. Winner of the Florida Derby and the Curlin Stakes in prep for the Kentucky Derby, but of course he finished 16th there. Since the Derby, not nearly as impressive though. Fifth at the Penn Derby, although it was a deep field, so no shame in that. Seventh at the Haskell, and then second at the Ohio Stakes, 1 length behind Tawny Port. Really, the Haskell was the biggest letdown. That is the race where just did not look like his normal self. I'm basing my assumptions here based off of what we saw at Ohio, based off of the Penn Derby, and based on this field here. I think White Barrio will probably be in the mix. Who else do we have here? Obezos. 2 wins, 1 third place in 2022 in 5 races. Fifth at the Breeders' Cup Sprint, 3 to 4 lengths behind Elite Power, CZ Rocket, Jackie's Warrior. So obviously an elite group of sprinters in that race, as you would expect at BC. Third place in the Commonwealth Stakes, which is a G3 race, finishing 3 lengths behind Prevalence. His 2 wins this year are allowance races, however, so he hasn't really had a big stakes race win this year, and that's going to be a common theme for a lot of these horses that we're looking at here. Obezos, obviously a consideration here, a pretty strong horse. Mind Control, Pletcher horse. 2 wins in 5 races in 2022. Most recently, the Parks Dirt Mile. After Far Mo Power was DQ'd, but those 2 horses were significantly far ahead of the field here. So Mind Control had a very good race that race, even though you have to say that Far Mo Power's DQ led to him winning. Third place, 4 lengths off of Art Collector in the Charlestown Classic Stakes, which is a G2. Most impressively, though, he beat Hot Rod Charlie by a neck at the Salvatore Stakes G3 in Monmouth. Uh, Pretty darn good for a horse that's only had 2 wins this year. He's got a pretty nice little record there. Mind Control, definitely a consideration. Get Her Number. 3 wins this year, but they're all allowance race wins. He's running a few stakes races, a non-factor at the Pat O'Brien. Second at the Bing Crosby, which is a G1 to American Theorem. He's off by 1.5 lengths in that race. It's a 6 furlong race as well. It's been a while, actually, since we've seen Get Her Number race anything above 7 furlongs. You see a lot of 6 and a lot of 7 furlongs in the recent past year. 7 races, 3 wins in that mix. As we noted, they're all allowance races, all around that 6 to 7 furlong range. Not a huge jump to go up to a mile, but still something that I wonder about as I figure out who I like in this race. Double Crown. This is an interesting one here. 12 races, 2 wins, 4 second places in 2022. So a lot of work for this horse here. Most recently won the Kelso, a G2, 1 mile, beating Baby Yoda, who's also in this race by nearly 2 lengths in a 6 horse field. Not a huge field, but again, we're also not talking about a huge field here for the Cigar Mile. Varying success in non-graded races. Second to Benevengo, 7 lengths at the Polynesian Stakes, so well out of that race. Fourth at the Maryland Million Classic, 6 lengths behind in that one. Fifth at the Peach Street Stakes, 6 lengths behind in that one. Uh, if you're going to be putting Double Crown anywhere in your winners pool, you really have to take a look at the Kelso and hope that that is the race that you're going to see replicated here, and not anything previous or anything in the previous year for Double Crown. Who else we got going on here? Just mentioned Baby Yoda. Most recently lost Kelso Cup, a G2 race by 2 lengths to Double Crown, the horse that we were just talking through. Ran fourth at the Forgo, a G1, almost 10 lengths behind horses like Pipeline, Cody's Wish, Jackie's Warrior. So really wasn't in contention there. A lot of really good horses in front of Baby Yoda in that race, but we also thought Baby Yoda was going to be one of those good horses. Ran fourth at the True North Stakes, G2 race, 12 lengths behind Jackie's Warrior, and 4 wins. Again, all allowance race wins, not a single stakes race win for Baby Yoda this year. The rest, that's it. We got through them all. So, what are we going to do with our money here? Yeah, chalk eater. I'm assuming Zandon is going to be the prohibitive favorite. I'm assuming Zandon is also going to win this race. 1 mile. Zandon has just been a really strong horse all year. Mind Control's my second horse, so we're going to key Zandon if we're going to place any sort of box. I like Mind Control here. I think he's been a strong horse all year, just like Zandon. He's had some good wins. White Barrio. I'm hoping that the Haskell's a race that we can cross out and we can take a look at other races, maybe even previous to the Derby, and say, okay, White Barrio is one that we're going to place in here as a top 3 finisher. And then of the rest, I know there's probably a lot of people out there clamoring for Bezos, but I'm hinging my bets on Double Crown here. Double Crown, I think if we can replicate the Kelso for Double Crown, I think the odds are probably going to be a little bit better on Double Crown than Obezos. Obezos is a better known name. Really hoping Double Crown is going to be a little bit of a surprise here and give you a little bit of a price. So those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Go ahead and tell us in the comment section. Don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you are interested, we do have memberships available. If you hit that little join button somewhere around here, hit that little join button to see what our memberships look like, where we give out our weekly picks if you are so inclined and interested. Anyway, that is all for me. It's nice seeing everybody. Have a good one.